Hi, this is Chia Morgan, and I am back for our fifth and final session for the Westwood Heights district-wide parent meeting. And we've discussed an array of topics that center around keeping our children safe and protecting them physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so, as we just recap a little bit, we've talked about stressing the importance to our children of only going to the sites that their teachers tell them to go to. We talked about the internet dangers out there, and we know that our children have had an insatiable desire to remain connected to their friends. Part of childhood development is those social skills. And so we know that they may have been on games such as Fortnite and Roblox and Xbox Live and all these other games that keep them connected to their friends. But using this district-wide parent meeting, we've been able to talk about the dangers of the internet and how our children just want to remain connected to their friends, but there are predators out there who are taking advantage of our children being completely online for school. And then in our most recent session, we talked about preparing our children to return back to school, and we identify what that may look like for them. We identify some of the reasons why they may be reluctant. And so for today, we're going to talk about educating them on ways to express themselves, because that's going to be very important. We as parents and teachers and support staff, we can really understand the signs and we can see the signs, but if we don't empower our children, we really are doing them a huge disservice. Just as a disclaimer, I'm Chia Morgan, representing Chia Morgan Professional Services. Nothing that I say in this or any previous presentations is a representation of my current or past employers. You may ask, who is Chia Morgan and why has she been with us for 5 sessions for our district-wide parent meeting? I'm a mother of an 8-year-old daughter. I'm a community activist. I've been working in the community for 15 years, creating programs, serving as board member for various organizations, and just working with other community groups to better Flint and its surrounding areas. I'm a proud member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, where we work under the principles of scholarship, sisterhood, and service. As far as my education, I have a bachelor's degree in social work and a master's degree in public administration, both from the University of Michigan. So it's important to note that I am a Go Blue girl. All right, so jumping right into what we are discussing today, encouraging our children and preparing them for the return. There are some physical signs that really just let you know something is going on with your child. It could be physical, it could be mental, or it could be emotional. If your child is experiencing excessive stomach pains and they're saying, Mom, everything I do is making my stomach hurt, nothing is working, this kind of lets you know that you need to pay a little more attention to them, and you may need to contact your primary care physician to try to get them some answers. If your child is playing all day and then they get to bedtime, they're not tired, that's also another sign that something internal may be going on. Unusual irritability or anger in children. They've been in the house for about a year. We're 4 days shy of children in the state of Michigan having been virtual or remote for 1 year. And so they may be irritated about going back to school. They may be reluctant about returning to a routine. But if you really can't pinpoint it, or they're more angry than what they typically look like when something is going on, you may again want to contact your physical physician and find out what are those next steps. Lack of appetite, that's a telltale sign that something is going on with children. They may not feel well, or there may be something internally bothering them. And then, as far as behaviors to notice that they may be exhibiting at school, and this kind of goes for parents, for support staff, for teachers, for anybody who may have access to children that are in this school age, these are some signs for you to watch for. If they're disruptive in class or anywhere in the school, it may just be that they are not used to being in the building. They've pretty much been at home and working at their own pace. They haven't had full 8-hour days. So it could be that, or there could be something going on. They could be experiencing anxiety, reluctance just to go back, separation anxiety from their home or their family members. this can all be understood by having a conversation with them, because if we don't talk to our children, we can't empower them to express themselves. Refusal or unwillingness to participate in activities. You may have a child who's naturally shy and they just don't want to raise their hand and answer the math question, although they can do the work. And that's an acceptable and understandable explanation. But if you have a child who has been outgoing in the past and they've engaged in football, basketball, volleyball, track, and then all of a sudden they don't want to do so, you may want to ask them what's going on and give them that platform to say, Mom, while I was home, I realized that I'm really an introvert. And although I still like these sports, I don't want to engage in them. Or it may be a situation of grandma always came to my games and we lost grandma during COVID. These are real scenarios and situations that our children are faced with. If we've lost people during the pandemic, they have as well. If your child is reluctant to attend school, it's important not to remind them that they were a straight A student or that they always wanted to go to school. We're not in the same world that we were on March 8th, 2020. And so it's unreasonable to expect that our children will be the same children that they were March 8th, 2020. And so let them grow, let them expand, let them tell you who they are, but also really get down to the why, because the why will let you know if there's something deeper going on, something emotional, something physical, something mental, and they really may just need an outlet. Lack of engagement with peers and friends, that kind of goes back to children kind of learning that they're an introvert and they just don't want to be around a lot of people. Or it could be kind of similar to the first day of school when children appear social, but they don't want to go back to, being away from their parents for that first day of daycare or first day of kindergarten. 1 year out of school can make a huge difference in how a child feels comfortable leaving their family, leaving their home, leaving their toys. Again, the biggest thing we can do here is foster conversations with them. So we introduced the idea last week of possibly letting our children go to therapy to really address some of these concerns that they've experienced. Define the new norm. It may be that your child is hybrid, or that your child is only going 4 days a week, or it could be that your child is back in school 5 days. They've become accustomed to you working from home. You're still working from home. And so the child is saying, well, Mom, you're at home. Mom, I did all of my work on school for the last year. We were online. We used Google Meet. We used Google Classroom. So let them know that things do look a lot different right now, and help them understand what their new normal is and what normal looks like for them. And going back to one of our previous sessions, we learned that normal is subjective. And so your daughter Tasha may have one definition of normal, and then your daughter Candace has another definition. It's okay for them to be individual and understand what these new norms are. Our world has changed, our lives have changed. And so we have to really embrace the individuality of our children. And going to therapy, their norm may be different than their sister's norm. Their norm may be different than your norm. And you may not know how to help them move into what that norm is, but therapy can help them do that. It can give them strategies to adjust. I lost my godmother. I lost a very close friend during COVID. And so I had to find ways to get used to not picking up the phone and calling them. Both of them have had birthdays since their passing. And so I had to really adjust to not calling them. And I had to figure out ways to make myself honor them in different ways. As far as a child, they may have had strong relationships with someone that passed, or they may fear that they are going to pass if they start going around too many people and contract COVID. And so we have to really build upon that and let them know a therapist can help them with this. There may be a child who says, I haven't lost anybody during COVID, and this is just all too much. It's blown out of proportion. And you're understanding what's going on. The school is understanding what's going on. And so they could be made to feel like an outcast if everybody is telling them, well, this is just the way it is. And so therapy could help them develop empathy for others who have experienced COVID loss, COVID deaths, and it'll just give them an extra layer of support Remember, individualism is going to be the biggest thing to help us in really supporting each other and loving each other as we overcome the pandemic that we've lived through. And then sometimes children, they feel different on the inside, but they can't really put a name to it. They may feel hot on the inside, they may feel jittery on the inside. They may always think that they're mad, they may always feel down, but they can't always put a name to this. But going to a therapist and being able to say, well, this is what I feel and this is what I think, they begin to put names to those feelings, those thoughts, and those experiences. Artful expressions. I'm a person that I've always hated art class because you had to do everything so meticulous. You had to stroke the pen that way, and you had to stroke the pencil that way, and come down diagonally this way. But then, as you see the picture behind me, it's very abstract. I love abstract art because it is someone's interpretation of what's going on, and it wasn't guided by anyone else. And so that is very useful to keep in mind with your child. You know, their music may not sound melodious and they may not be on the way to a recording deal, but if music makes them feel happy and it makes them feel settled, get them some type of room in the house where they can go and play their music and they can go and sing. They may want to write music and the lyrics may not make sense to you, but it's their expression. Allow them to paint and allow, you can go to Target and get those canvases that they use at Paint for a Twist for $6 or $7. You can allow them to paint, and that's their expression. That's them getting out what's going on. And oftentimes, children tell a story with their painting. It may be abstract, it may be directed, but they tell their story, and it really helps them to feel a release. As far as drawing, some children can draw the Eiffel Tower, and you know it's the Eiffel Tower. Some children can draw the Eiffel Tower, and you're like, oh, that's really nice. Whatever the case may be, allow them to express themselves and allow them to get it out, because you'd be surprised what those artful expressions may do for them. My daughter, she's a dancer, and anybody around you will tell you that about 90 times a day I'm like, stop, sit down, stop dancing here. But it makes her happy, it makes her feel jovial, and she's really good at it. And so as much as the dancing may tap dance on us, our nerves as parents, it does something for our children. So give them a space. It's supposed to be 60, 67 this week. Let them go outside and get their dancing out and really pay attention to whatever their artful expression is, because it allows them to bond with you. It shows them that you're interested in what they're expressing to you. Before I go on, is there any questions, comments, or concerns to what we've discussed so far? Okay. So there's so much that our children cannot control as it relates to COVID. You know, they went to school one day on a Thursday. Many of them may have left things in their locker. There was no school Friday. They didn't have an opportunity to say goodbye to their friends, their teachers. They may have left their favorite rain boots in their locker. They have not had a decision as to, I can't go to grandma's house. It's just been, we have to social distance, we have to stay safe. Some of us miss holidays with our family members. And so it's been, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that. And for our children, that really affects them. That affects their social skills, their emotional skills, and all of that. And so there are some things that we can let them have autonomy with. Give them dinner choices. Say Monday will be kids' day to pick dinner. As far as what they wear to school, people around me will tell you, once again, I pick my battles with my daughter. If she wants to wear rain boots and a dress to school, rain boots and a dress it is, because it's not hurting anybody. She's clean, she's appropriate, and she's happy. As far as their extracurricular activities, we as parents, we want our daughters to be in ballet, and we want them to go to acting classes and basketball and football, and we want our sons to go to football and acting classes and dancing and all of these things that we have in mind for them. And sometimes our kids hate those activities. And so instead of saying, it's always been my dream for you to go to XYZ dance studio Ask them, do you like dance? Okay, you like dance. Well, here's 3 dance studios, of course, choices that you can afford. Pick one. And so those type of things, it does us no harm to allow our children to have some autonomy with those choices. As far as their spirituality, we as parents, we have our religious beliefs or our spiritual beliefs that we would like for our children to engage in. But if your child is saying, "Ma, I'll go to Bible study because you want me to," or "Mom, I'll attend the mosque with you because you want me to," but it's not something that I feel a connection on, have conversations with them and respect that they're doing what they need to do to respect you, but they need you to give them time to embrace their own spiritual practices or beliefs. Believe it or not, children actually like routines and boundaries. Will they stomp? Sometimes they will. Will they poke their lips out? Oftentimes they will. But once they get into it, they know, if I get home from school at 4 o'clock, my chores have to be done by 8 o'clock. Or if I want to leave the house by 10 o'clock on Saturday, my chores need to be done Friday night. It kind of lets them know this is a guideline. So before they even come and ask, they already know what you're going to say. Are those chores done? So set chores for your children. Chore charts, those really work. They can be color coded. If you have more than one child, each child can have their own color. As far as family relationships, siblings, they have rivalry, but you can let them know just how far you will accept them going. There will be no name calling, there will be no hitting, there will be no fighting or harming of each other. If they know these things right ahead, it makes discipline a little easier because they still may break the boundary, but they're able to say, well, at least we did know what mom expected of us. You aren't making it up as you go along. As far as house rules, if they know they cannot have company of the opposite sex, company of the same sex, if they know that they have to be in before the street lights come on, they may try to buck the rules, but the more that you let them know, then they can say, well, yeah, I know I broke the rules. And this helps them coming back into going into school because they can express themselves. They can say, Mom, when I do the dishes, bleach really makes my head hurt. Can we do something else? And so the smallest little conversations may come from there being boundaries. Or, Mom, my stomach really hurts today. I know that I was supposed to clean out the tub, but can I swap that chore out because I can't really bend over without being in pain? School attendance. You know, some parents allow their children to miss a day every now and again. Some parents, it's non negotiable that you go every day. If you're sick, then the school nurse will call me and let me know that I need to pick you up. And so, setting these routines and these boundaries really let the children know what to look forward to. And it's not one more thing that has been sprung upon them, because I can't imagine at the age of 8, 9, 10, even 17, going to school one day and then finding out once I'm already home we're not going back and we don't know when. So they need some type of structure and boundary so that they aren't feeling anxious about what's next and what's to come. Be open minded with your children. Allow them to ask questions. It is not disrespectful for your child to say, okay, mom, these are the rules, but can I ask how we got here? Can I ask why we're here? As a parent, you may say, you're still going to do dishes 5 days a week, but it doesn't hurt to give them an explanation. The more that they can understand, the better off we will all be. Find news that is on their levels. Children may be coming back into school and they have friends who watch Fox News, they have friends who watch CNN, they have friends who watch MSNBC, they have friends who watch the local news. And as we know, if you are a news connoisseur, you know that all 4 of those news stations present different type of data, different type of stories. And so your child may be confused about what's going on. So find news that is on their level so that they can feel secure in knowing, okay, this is what's going on, this is what is happening, because that confusion could scare them. It could give them false hope. It could give them a false sense of anxiety if they're hearing conflicting stories about the different things and the challenges and the changes going on with coronavirus. Clarify questions to the best of your knowledge. The do as I say model, it really is not going to be beneficial for our children. It's not going to be beneficial for us as the community, because our children need to understand what's going on. There's little rationale about COVID-19 and how we got here and why we're here globally. And so the more that they ask and the best you can get answers, that's going to be good. If they say, what happens if one of my classmates contract COVID? Don't guess. Call the school and say, hey, what is your plan if this happens? Because the best answers that our children can get that are truthful, that will really help them. Bend the rules a little bit if you can. My daughter was dancing on the couch the other day and I just found myself laughing about it. But on the inside, I was like, she knows she got about 10 seconds to get down. But I have to bend the rules because she can't ideally go with her friends and have a dance off and have a dance battle. And so us being flexible for our children, it helps a little bit. Now, again, I said I only smiled for about 10 seconds. So I'm not saying bend the rules for 10 weeks, 10 hours, or 10 days, but as much as you can tolerate, and even a little bit that may be uncomfortable for you, it'll really help our children. And so we've talked a lot about COVID-19 and how that has affected our children in the course of the year. 2 months into COVID-19, there was a racial uprising in America, and we began to see companies changing their diversity policies. We began to see advocates and activists demanding that some companies reveal their diversity policies. This all can affect our children because they may look at their friends different, especially if they're older. They may think about, how would my friends handle this? What would my friends say? And so really talk about their feelings about this, because they haven't been back in school with their friends since this happened. And that could really impact them if they're losing friends because of this, or if they're thinking they may lose friends because of this. Address concerns that they may have. Mom, David's parents no longer want me to come over, or mom, Monica's parents no longer want me to come over. This is a very valid thing. And our children need to have a place to talk about this, because if they're coming back into the school and they have these interracial friendships, they may feel leery to talk to their friends. They may wonder how their friends are going to respond to them. Share examples of your own life if you can, about how you've overcome these type of situations with your interracial friendships or anything like that. It is very important that we allow our children a foundation and a place to discuss real situations and real feelings. And so there's resources out here for us as families. As we know, the unemployment rate has skyrocketed as a result of COVID-19. Businesses closing, businesses permanently closing. And so families may need different things. Your children may need help with clothes. Your children may need help with finding a therapist and you don't currently have insurance. You all may need support with water bill payments or energy payments. These are all things that affect your ability to relate to your children. In the state of Michigan, you can call 211 directly from your phone and they'll guide you to so many different resources. If your child is experiencing any type of mental anguish or mental challenges and you just think, I really don't want to take them to the hospital, I don't know if I should take them to the hospital, you can call Genesee Health System for their crisis line, 810-257-3740. If you do have insurance, no matter who your carrier is, on the back of your card is a number. It's usually a toll-free number. That number will help you identify a therapist in your network. They'll help you find males, they'll help you find females, they'll help you find those who are LGBT friendly. And so use that insurance card because it is a very vital resource. And then if you really need extra support for your children here in Genesee County, and you just don't know where to turn, it may not be so much something about their mental health, but maybe you have a question about some type of trauma that your child has experienced. You can call Voices for Children at 238-3333, and they will guide you in the right direction. So that concludes our conversation for today. I would like to address any questions, comments, or concerns that may have come up during the course of this presentation.
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, what can a parent do in conjunction with the school if the child has fallen behind academically? Is there someone that you can go to in the school and maybe get a special plan to help them to level the playing field? Because my thought is, with being out of school, you have some parents who are working from home who are maybe have graduate degrees, and you may have parents at home who maybe work out of town at a small factory, or a parent at home who is lowly or poorly educated. That too affects the children. So is there something that the school has in place to kind of level the playing field for children coming back to the classroom?
I can't speak for Westwood Heights specifically, but as just having my experience working with children and working with many of the school districts around here, if you start with your child's counselor, then they will oftentimes get with the teacher and create a plan, find out what the teacher has witnessed or what the teacher has experienced. They'll get examples of that work, and then they will begin to work with other avenues and resources that the school has. Every school district has different like liaisons and all of that. So your child's counselor will be that number one point of contact.
Hi, Chia. I have a question. Uh,
Hi.
is there any trafficking prevention projects locally that us parents can get ourselves involved in?
I don't know about prevention, but there is a Genesee County Human Trafficking Task Force, and there are members of the community who are a part of that. And so if you will send me an email to info@chiamorgan.com, I will send you that information. And actually, that is in one of our previous PowerPoint sessions. And so if you would like, I can send you that entire link for that, because there are resources and there are prevention measures going on. I just can't say it's specifically for parents, but as far as Genesee County, there's a number of prevention measures taking place.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns? And again, it doesn't have to be just about this session today. If you have a question like she asked about the human trafficking, I'm here to answer and address those, because I want parents to feel confident that they can make it through these challenging times and provide the best resource and support for their children.
I just have a comment. I think it was very powerful that you addressed the racial issue, because we have been at home and we've been in our homogenous environments. And I do think that because the racial tensions and the polarization has been so vast in the country, that the children will come back to school and they may have a different mindset because of the things that they've heard and seen in their own homes. And I think it was very powerful and enlightening to know that maybe we do need to have a talk with our children before they return to school, so that they may know that things have changed, not just academically but socially as well. Because we talk a lot about how the children need that social experience, but in that social experience there is the negative, the positive, and the unknown. So I thank you for bringing that up.
Absolutely. And I struggle with thinking, should I put that in there? But if we are really going to make our children feel competent and feel fully supported, then we need to address everything that has taken place over the course of a year, because, all of our school districts in Genesee County, they're diverse. And so our children are likely to have a friend of another race, of another ethnicity. And we really, really need to address that. And that's why I also said, even with therapy, we can talk and ask our insurance carriers to find someone that is even LGBT friendly, because that's a group that we tend to leave out when we are talking about advocacy. And the reality is, we have children who identify as LGBT, and we need to make them feel supported as well. Any other questions, comments, concerns, feedback? Well, I thank you all for joining me today, and I thank Westwood Heights for trusting me to hold these conversations with your families. And I hope that they serve as a groundbreaking tool for you to say we are going to do something different in our families. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to do this. We are all figuring this out. We are all trying to get on the other side of COVID-19 better than we were a year ago. I ask that you stay safe, stay vigilant, and if you need me, I am available at info@chiamorgan.com. Thank you. It has been my pleasure to serve you, Westwood Heights.